artist and former chairman of a Chelsea Art Club, the famous Chelsea Art Club. So he studied painting and sculpture at the University of London, Goldsmith College, and St. Martin's School of Art. Taught at many colleges, including the Royal College of Art, the Royal Academy School, the Slade School of Art, Goldsmith, St. Martin's, Croydon College, Kingston University, Newcastle University, Exeter. Artworks which he produced are in the collection of the Tate Gallery, Victoria and Albert Museum, Henry Moore Institute, Leeds City Art Museum, Museum of Modern Art in Paris, the Government Art Collections, the British Council, English Heritage, Goldsmith College, the Royal College of Art, Art Council England, Northern Art Association, Charing Cross Hospital, and many more national, corporate and private collections. I think as an artist and man of culture.
I've sort of entitled my short delivery to you as the Youth Committee. And I just want to open a little bit about democracy and lead on to the characteristics of youth, and then two field studies, one less gravitas in sensation than the other, and then just talk about what I mean by the Youth Committee, which some of you may already have ideas about or know of something similarly. So the dilemma that faces democracy is that it has to play two roles which can at times be diametrically the opposite of each other. It has to be wise to lead society forward as a whole and for its good. Leaders should be knowledgeable and for the good of the people. But it has to listen to the people as it carries out its wise duties, and the people's wishes at times may be the opposite or different to those of the government and its direction. Being socially happy is probably one of the biggest challenges facing democracy today, and perhaps at the top of most citizens' agendas. Making one's voice heard at the right time is a democratic right, but the right time may not always be available or convenient or possible. Having one's say about the environment we live in and trying to improve the public place in and through which we pass and encounter on a daily basis is something we can and should express ourselves. In the last few years, several events and situations have occurred which take in some aspects of recognizing that the daily environment is not up to standard in many places. In some places it's terrific, and to which I've been involved. There is a depressing side to aspects of the environment, which I will come on to in a moment. One of the factors of youth, to come back to youth, and the youth of today, they have many advantageous characteristics. One is their ability to experience immediately the environment, an area they are in. School, university, college, the area around their home. Some explore and have an opinion about their immediate environment that probably differs very often from their parents, lecturers, or older generations, and this actually picks up on something that was just being said. And the older generation do have a focus that becomes more limiting up to a point, even though we don't want it to be limiting. Mortgages, remits, family, workplace, they all come to make us look towards the remit of why we are there within that orbit. The young don't have that. And I think that the marvelous characteristic of the young simply isn't and hasn't been taken advantage of in this area that I'm now going to go on and illustrate. Two events I've been involved in the last 2 years. One by dint of being a member of the London Society was, for example, when Ken Livingstone introduced the Inner London congestion charge. One of the strange side effects that happened that depressed me very badly, really, the more I was involved in it, was that overnight, almost every private motorist did not go through inner London anymore. They wouldn't pay, didn't want to pay, couldn't pay. So they detoured or took public transport. So yes, the congestion charge was, on the face of it, an idea to stop the congestion of traffic in central London. But what did we have left as vehicles in central London? We had red buses, black taxis, and white vans. If I could have seen, a pink car with white spots on it or something, I'd been delighted. But every day it was a procession of those three tones and colours. And it struck me, not that I've been to Russia, and certainly I wasn't in Russia when Stalin was there, but it kind of had a kind of greyness about it, this monotonous of the same three colours and tones every day. And I thought, that's something, as that idea was put into practice, probably wasn't even thought about. How depressing can it be to be seeing the same three tones and colours every day in the areas of work and through which you travel? I thought somebody should have looked to the edge of this and thought, what can we do about that? The second example, which is more gravitas here, was a project I was invited to be the artist tutor on, which was a collaboration between Brooks Architectural College in Oxford and the University of Catalonia in Budapest, where 15 postgraduate students from each came in London and chose a site which was where Fulham Palace Road joins the Hammersmith gyratory system under the Hammersmith flyover. Now, if you've been under the Hammersmith flyover at that point, you will know how depressing it is. This great hangover goes across the top of you, and you hear the hiss of the traffic above, like some giant snake. I mean, anacondas in the air at the moment. Some giant snake that's swirling over you. And it also has, for me, being sort of older generation, having been at college, that fact of the jumbo hangover, depressing. It's there the whole time from late parties of some sort. So the idea was to take that junction point and try and do something with it with 30 postgraduate architectural students. And they came up with some very good ideas, not put into practice completely because they only had 3 days to implement this idea. But they were quite wacky, taking in both the footprint of people moving through this area and in the rush hour, trying to get into Hammersmith Tube and out of Hammersmith Tube. You had 80 people on each side, all dressed in black. I mean, the other thing which was a convention is everybody wears black. I mean, I looked in here and there's a lot of black around. I mean, this is okay, but it's, en masse, this is again a slightly depressing environmental site. So in the centre of London, you have all these red buses, black taxis, white vans, and everybody dressed in black. I mean, this is not good. So we want to brighten the atmosphere, brighten the environment, get things on the move. And so what I thought was a youth committee where all major infrastructure ideas can be passed by the youth committee, where they, with their creative, imaginative, wacky ideas, great ideas, can suggest what are the negative sides to large infrastructures like the Hammersmith flyover underneath. It's dispiriting, it's depressing, and it's been there for 53 years. So there's a need for the young, their great expressions of what takes place in and around the environment, to come in at some point. And I know, of course, the pragmatics of it are difficult. Line corridors of communication. We don't want to give ideas away. Projects have a certain period of time where things have to be resolved and issues are not totally in. But nevertheless, I think a youth committee 15 to 18 years of age. It gives them civic responsibility. And somebody, a former speaker just now, was talking about the ease with which technology now works with Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. I mean, they have an immediate network range of asking questions to all those people and getting feedbacks on ideas. I think it's time for a youth committee to be set up. It's perhaps not mandatory, but people, companies, whatever, have to pass by them ideas of what is taking place. And I'm sure we will have a fantastic return from that. And just to add one last point, I know I've got on, as artists do sometimes, what I discovered was Barcelona, where the postgrads came from, have for the last 5 years had a monthly competition that it sets up from central government, where anybody can enter a design, a single person, young person, a company, for a designated spot in the city that needs infrastructure, refreshing, building up to give the spirit of those passing through it that experience. And money is given to the winner every month to go and do this job. When they get the job, they go and do it. I think it's fantastic. I think something of this should be going on here in this country, and not just waiting for the thing to be built, and then somebody says, it's a bit dark down there, and you see a little neon strip that goes along the ceiling eventually installed. Good to have it, it makes it better than it was, but I think we could get in at the ground level in these planning situations. So I think it's up to the youth to do that. And finally, that's what I said to the postgrad students in the final bit at Hammersmith, that every one of them should feel in a way their duty to get in at the planning stage for these implementations. So that's my contribution at the moment. Thank you.